Mr. Keye, Emil van Boorman speaking. Yeah, it's no use. Yes, I have to give it up. I can't do it. I can't cut the diamond. Yes, we'll have to get someone else. Huh? Never mind why. It's impossible.
Mr. Chan, I can't tell you how distressing the whole thing's been. I know you're on holiday, but...
Slightly inaccurate. I am in London to speak before international gathering of chiefs of police. Son on holiday. I notice in newspaper account of diamond. No mention was made of owner.
Exactly. That's the point. That's the largest stone to have been brought out of the Nigerian mines in the last 50 years. It was to have been presented to the Crown Collection.
And this Emil van Boorman?
The finest diamond cutter in Europe. A superb craftsman. That's why I couldn't understand it.
Understand what, Mr. Greer?
The length of time he needed to study the stone for cutting. It's been over 5 weeks. Last night he telephoned me. He said he couldn't go on with it. He said I'd have to get somebody else. I think that's when the attack took place. At least it sounded like that.
Then truth about diamond may be hidden unless unfortunate Mr. Van Boorman recovers from coma.
Mr. Chan, my company has authorized me, has begged me, in fact, to retain you at any fee you like. Within reason, of course. Surely you must realize how vital it is that we recover that stone.
Also realize this case comes under jurisdiction of old friend, Inspector Duff. Do not like to walk on his feet.
Step on his toes, you mean, Pop?
I have already spoken to Inspector Duff. He hasn't the slightest objection.
In that case, renewal of old acquaintance with Inspector Duff seems to be first logical step. I hope you don't mind presence of number 1 son, Inspector. He has promised to observe only, not participate.
I'm afraid there won't be much observing to do. Now, this is Mr. Franz Weber. He's Emil van Boorman's houseman. He's just about sewn the case up for us before he's had a proper start. I know you're tired, Mr. Weber, but would you mind telling Mr. Chan about last night?
It was my night off. I had dinner at my sister's in Bayswater. And when I came home, I saw a man running out of the house. I rushed to the workroom and found Boorman on the floor. And the diamond was gone. I called the police.
You can go now. We're very grateful for your help.
Thank you.
Poor chap's been all night running through our files. He finally identified the man he saw running away.
Mr. Weber's identification is certain?
Quite. Mrs. Van Boorman backs it up. She saw him briefly from a window. I've already had the man arrested.
Who is he, Inspector?
An all-round unsavory character named Bert Conway. He's a bookmaker now, but his record goes well back. Vicious-tempered blighter. Tried to beat a chap to death a few years ago.
I do not like to impose, Inspector, but might I see this person?
I'll arrange it.
Get out of here. I've had a belly full of coppers today. Get out, I say.
But I am not policeman, Mr. Conway.
You blokes are all the same. Running over with questions, but you don't listen to the answers.
We'll gladly listen.
Well, I'll tell you what I told them. I had nothing to do with that job. Nothing. And I'll tell you something else. If ever I get out of here, Franz Weber better hide, because I'll kill him for framing me like this.
Why would he lie, Mr. Conway?
How do I know? I'll tell you something. It wasn't me at Van Boorman's house. Not last night.
Oh, then you have been there. Another time?
Why not? I'm a bookmaker. Weber bets with me. I've been there once or twice to collect. He owes me plenty. That's why he framed me. Don't you see? That's why he framed me. You don't believe a ruddy word, do you?
Did not say so.
Doesn't matter. Just do me a favor, chum. Don't forget to give Weber my loving greetings and tell him I'll get him for this.
Would think present predicament is enough trouble for one man.
You only die once, chum.
Let us hope not too soon.
Don't tell me. More police.
I am Mr. Chan. I have been asked to investigate strange disappearance of diamond for an interested party.
Well, don't be too tough on my mother, will you? She's been questioned so often, her nerves are all shot to pieces. In fact, the doctor's with her now.
I will try not to upset her. You are?
Halton, Kirk Halton. Van Borman is my stepfather. Perhaps I can be of help to you.
At present, only wish to question Mother, but thank you.
Well, be kind to her, won't you? I'll let you in. She's in the room on the left.
Here, drink this, Paula. Then I want you to go upstairs and have a rest.
I can't sleep. I keep on thinking about Emil. Seeing his face.
Your nerves can only take so much. Now, we can't have you going all to pieces.
Come in.
Mrs. Van Borman, my name is Chan.
Yes, I know. Inspector Duff telephoned.
My number one son, Barry Chan.
Hello?
This is Dr. Laird.
Please excuse inappropriate choice of time, but must ask few questions.
Mrs. Van Borman is in no state to answer questions.
It's all right.
I forbid it.
George.
Can understand doctor's concern, Mrs. Van Borman, therefore will be brief. Do you corroborate Franz Weber's story about Conway running from house last night?
Well, it was dark, but I'm almost certain it was Conway.
Your husband, he is from Holland?
Yes, he came over after the war. We've been married 4 years.
And your son?
From a previous marriage.
He lives here.
In the holidays only. He's at college in Amsterdam.
Then you did not find it convenient to have him attend school in this country?
Kirk preferred Amsterdam.
Your houseman, Franz Weber, is he Dutch too? Just asking, Pop.
But he and my husband were old-time friends. Mr. Channer, I don't feel well. I'd best go to bed.
Of course. Just one more question, please. Cannot understand husband's prolonged study of the diamond and then reluctance to complete assignment.
Well, he's been ill. Dreadfully nervous. Dr. Laird has been treating him, but he just didn't seem to respond. Now, you really must excuse me.
Is it possible for me, Mrs. Borman, to look over house?
Oh, yes, of course. Go ahead.
What is that, Pop?
Maybe perhaps straw in the wind.
Well, what now? You've gone over the place like a vacuum cleaner, still nothing.
Patience can be likened to sleeping flower. Cultivate same and it will reward you handsomely.
Yeah, sounds good, but reward can come awful slow.
Not always. Just borrowing few pills will return same.
Forgive my apparent rudeness earlier today, Mr. Chan, but you must understand my concern over Mrs. Van Borman's state of nerves.
Nerves seem not to have been confined to Mrs. Van Borman alone, Doctor.
Oh, she told you I was treating Emil.
Any reason why such treatment should be kept secret?
Emil wouldn't have wanted it known that he wasn't well. World's foremost diamond cutter with shaky nerves, it wouldn't have done his reputation much good, now would it?
Might I ask what type of treatment you prescribe?
The proper one. A type of tranquilizing pill. What's your point?
May I see your note on original prescription, please?
Get out of my office, Mr. Chan.
But my request is most simple.
If you want to challenge my medical reputation, you will have to get a court order to do it. Now get out!
Most grateful for cooperation.
Pop, do you think we can get that prescription?
There is another way to accomplish the same end. Return to hotel, my son, have dinner, wait for me in room. I shall be at Scotland Yard.
So, your father sent you to get the prescription. Pity. He forgot that a householder is entitled to shoot a thief ransacking his premises. In self-defense. I could pull this trigger, you know. And be quite within my rights.
It's murder, that's what it is.
Merely defending one's own property. A prescription. Why does your father want it so badly?
I don't know. It wasn't his idea for me to come.
Where's he now?
Don't call him.
Where?
Scotland Yard.
Sure you don't want me to wait? The analysis of those pills shouldn't be too long.
No, Inspector Duff, I have already imposed sufficiently. I shall wait alone.
Inspector Duff, one moment. It's for you.
Yes? Please do nothing until I arrive. We'll come immediately.
Anything wrong?
We'll not wait for analysis of pills, Inspector, but most grateful. Good night.
Ah, there you are, sir. I hope you'll find the details of it.
Most unusual, Doctor. Gun decidedly out of place in hands of man devoted to saving life.
I think not, in the circumstances. Are you aware that I could have shot him?
Very much aware.
Also, for illegal entry, I can prefer a charge. Have him jailed.
If you so desire. But before getting to well-meaning son's foolishness, suggest you examine this. Much more serious than son's mistake.
What's that?
Analysis of pills you prescribed for unfortunate Mr. Van Borman. Worst kind of prescription for a nervous man. A stimulant. Not, as you claim, tranquilizer.
That's not true. Here's the note for the original prescription. Any chemist will tell you it's for a tranquilizer.
If true, Doctor, my profound apologies. However, one more question. Did you treat anyone else in the Van Borman household?
Only Mrs. Van Borman. No one else. Now, look here, Chan, let's get this clear. We'll forget this incident because, well, it's awkward. But I've got nothing to hide. And I don't want to be annoyed by either of you again.
One favor, please. May I borrow this for a short time?
You certainly may not. Now, will you kindly go?
Expulsion from your office is becoming quite a habit, Doctor. I must find a cure. Harry, father's advice for future. One does not solve crime by committing another. Understand?
Yes, Pop.
Very well. We talk no more about illegal entry. Pity Doctor did not let me have prescription. Feel it would have been very useful.
You want it? Then it's yours.
Meaning?
I've got it.
I just told you, stealing is also illegal.
Yes, but memorizing isn't. My Latin isn't too good, but it's good enough for that. Besides, you know, I got to do something to repay you back for my college education.
Most grateful for first payment. Now we will visit chemist who filled prescription.
That doctor is mixed up in it somewhere. I know it.
But you just heard report of chemist. Dr. Laird's prescription is for tranquilizer. But only you and I know that.
Then what's the answer?
Next step, discover who put stimulating pills in tranquilizer bottle.
Who do you suspect?
Not sure. But remember first meeting with Doctor, his overprotectiveness for Mrs. Van Borman, his reluctance to have her answer questions. Perhaps we have been examining puzzle from wrong end, my son.
I know. We're going to the Van Borman's house.
We?
Oh, please, Pop. I won't mess things up this time. I'll keep a zipper on my mouth. Cross my heart.
No, on this occasion, you must wait outside house.
What is it?
Time for truth, I think. Hans Weber identified Bert Conway as man who ran from house. You backed up identification. How, Mrs. Van Borman? From window, one cannot even see road at night, much less identify a man. Would like to know reason for false identification. Very well. We'll give you logical reason. To protect someone else. But who, Mrs. Van Borman? Dr. Laird? Your son, Weber, who? I am most anxious to help, but cannot do so alone. Must know reason for a deliberate lie.
It was George. Dr. Laird. We're in love. Oh, my marriage was going wrong. Emil is difficult. I was about to ask for a divorce when this dreadful thing happened.
And you made false identification to protect Dr. Laird?
It couldn't do any harm. I knew the charge couldn't be proved. I had to keep George's name clean. Don't you see, a divorce at a time like this? Can't you see what people would think?
Ways of a woman in love, Mrs. Van Bowman, were never born in cradle of logic.
I've told you the truth, Mr. Chan.
Hope to obtain same from Franz Weber. You know his whereabouts.
He's probably with his sister.
No, I have not seen Franz today. Not since he had dinner here last night. Is something wrong?
There is no cause for alarm, Miss Weber. Do you remember what time he left here last night?
10:15. But already I have told police. Please, I must know what is wrong. My brother is not well, man, Mr. Chan. I must know what is happening.
What do you mean, not well? He's being treated by a doctor? Dr. Laird, perhaps?
No. Dr. Kraus. He also is Hollander, like Franz and me. But I must know what is wrong.
Have feeling you can make things less wrong by giving me address of Dr. Kraus.
Papa, I don't get any of this.
No time for explanations, only for pursuit of elusive truth. Take taxi from here to Van Bowman House as Franz Weber claims to have done. Make 3 trips. Must know exact time of each trip. When finished, meet me in office of Dr. Kraus. Understand?
Yeah, sure.
Good.
Yes, Franz Weber has been a patient of mine for many years. A fine man. Why do you ask?
I do not wish you to violate ethics of your profession, Doctor, but it's extremely necessary for me to learn nature of his illness.
Weber lived in Holland under Nazi occupation. That alone crushed many men. Losing a son through their brutality didn't help matters. He's no longer young. The past seems to be catching up with him. He lacks energy. But pills can't change the past, you understand?
And the kind of pills you prescribe, Doctor?
A stimulant. Not my choice exactly, but he wanted to try and it seemed to help. Excuse me. Dr. Krause? Yes? When? I was afraid of that. All right. I'm on my way. Yes, goodbye. I'm afraid I must leave at once, Mr. Chan, a patient of mine.
You have been most kind, Doctor. I am expecting my #1 son, who is carrying out investigation of enormous importance. Would it be possible for me to wait here for him?
Please, make yourself at home.
Thank you.
Never was so tired of riding in cabs in my life.
How many trips, my son? Quickly.
3, like you said, Pop. The first 2 times, it came out exactly half an hour, and the third time, 1 minute less.
So time for each trip, half hour. Yet Franz Weber took 45 minutes. Why? Answer would be interesting. Inspector Duff, please. Charlie Chan calling. He left no message where to be located? Thank you.
Well, what is it?
Conway released from jail cell 1 hour ago. Police found man to corroborate alibi. Just remember it. Conway threatened to kill Weber, and Conway is not man to make idle threats. Calling Van Bowman home to warn Weber if he is still there. Busy.
What are we going to do now?
Get fastest taxi cab in London.
Oh, again?
Now, we settle our score, don't we, Mr. Weber? You won't frame no one else with your lies.
No, please! Stop, Conway. Put up hands. I usually deplore violence, my son, but this time, most acceptable.
You all right? I don't want to sound unsympathetic, Weber, but your mistake about Conway hasn't helped any of us.
My humble apologies, Inspector, but Mistake is very inaccurate word. I'm sure now, Mr. Weber, you are willing to help police?
I didn't. You don't realize.
I realize many things, Mr. Weber. I realize, for instance, how man's nerves can go to pieces when fed stimulants and tranquilizing pills, as Emil Van Borman was. By you.
But he was a collaborator, traitor. He worked with the Nazis in Holland.
Traitor? Emil? You believe that? You, his friend? Oh, Franz, he was anything but that. Didn't you realize he was working for British intelligence?
Yes, Mrs. Van Borman, he knew. Matter of fact, shoe is on other foot. You are collaborator. You are traitor. Do not deny. And someone else also knew secret. Is that not so? And price of his silence was that you prevent cutting off the big diamond. That's why you drugged Van Borman.
All right. All right, I did it. I gave him the drugs, but I didn't steal the diamond. I swear I didn't.
Now swearing to truth for first time. Your work was merely to delay cutting.
Sounds screwy, Pop. What good would that do anyway?
I think approaching footsteps will bring answer. You see, Inspector Duff, cutting had to be delayed until student could return home at vacation time and get diamond.
Mr. Chan, I'm a customs official from London Airport.
Did you find diamond, Inspector?
Just as he was boarding the plane. In his briefcase, not even hidden.
But that's impossible. He's only a boy.
With very expensive tastes. On first meeting, young man noticed he had gold cigarette case and lighter. Very unusual for a college student to possess.
And you can chalk up another reason. I hated Van Borman. My mother and I were happy till he came along, interfering, taking her away from me. I'm only sorry I didn't hit him harder.
Oh, Kirk.
Bring him along, boys.
It is very regrettable, Mrs. Van Borman. However, if it is any consolation to you, perhaps his early apprehension may prevent a future career of crime. Hello? Oh. Thank you very much. Good news follows bad news like day follows night. Your husband is now out of coma. We'll be all right.
I'll try to make it up to Mr. Chan. I'll try.
And the doctor?
That's all over. I promise.
Good.
Pop, I've got the case all figured out, but how did you arrive at your solution?
Well, young criminal was too arrogant and stupid to observe caution. He left telephone number of airport on mother's living room table, remember? Then very simple to find out reservations of airplanes, also to warn customs to search students' baggage.
Yeah. Well, I knew it was him all the time. I just didn't want to jump to any conclusions.
Oh, very, very wise, my son. Conclusion jumping by you could be like touching sunburned friend. Always land on tender spot.